why?
Some kind of useful, I don't know if diplomat is the right word, but some kind of peace broker or something that could actually broker peace. Somehow, I feel like we need some mythical figure or something that can come and sit down with people, get them to listen to each other, and get the peace to happen. You know,
Jim.
Just get everything to pause. You know, get everybody to stop and just.
Waterfall.
Just like if we could just get the world to just stop from it, like if everybody just fucking just stop. Everybody calm down, stop. But let's talk. Let's talk for a while. You know, let's talk for a long time and figure out how do we get lasting peace. I mean, I think part of this realm, as we all know, sadly, is violence, and that's part of the experience here for some reason. Sometimes I like to think that maybe this is just a training ground, you know, where I don't really know what I believe, but I love thinking about reincarnation as like an exercise of like, perhaps, I like to think that like we go through this world 10 million times, or however many times we go through it, with all of the violence,
Nirvana.
and then eventually we move through that version of the world, and then we start again in another version of this world where all of the rough, crude violence and racism and hatred is gone, but you still deal with death, and you still deal with sadness, and then you go through that world 10 million times, and then you become a salamander or something, you know, and you do that 10 million times, you know. I can't even remember what their question was.
That's perfect. The next couple questions
Perfect.
I'd like to ask are a little bit more music focused. The first one from Bill H, who's from Swanee, Georgia, who wants to know how do you decide between what's going to be a My Morning Jacket song and what's going to be a Jim James solo song? Is that a blurry line for you, or are there very distinct choices there?
Swanee! Anybody know that song, Swanee? Unbelievable song.
Fuck
You know,
yeah.
Swanee! That's the only part I remember. That's really good. I used to have things, like definitions of solo records or My Morning Jacket songs or whatever. Now it's all just a big pile. Because we've been working on a new record, and it's interesting because I just took every single idea I had and just pushed it into the pile, and just like, here's all of the things that I've recorded as solo songs, or here's a little voice memo from my iPhone or whatever, you know, and it's like, so things have changed in that regard. Yeah.
Tap out of bed, drop things down.
Yeah, well, on my phone.
On your phone now? Amazing. And so Mike, who's up from Michigan, he wants to know, you mentioned how singing old songs can be hard to revisit this former version of yourself, and that recently you sorted that out. Have any of your songs changed meaning as you've evolved as a person?
Even better.
Yeah, I just really struggled with depression, and I feel like as I've struggled with depression and alcoholism over the years, it's been very hard for me to do anything really, and to do certain songs was very triggering for me, or very difficult, and all the guys would laugh because we would have Jim's Doghouse or whatever, songs that I won't do, you know, like, what if we do this song? And I'm like, oh, I hate that song, that song's terrible. And then the next year they're like, what about this, the same song, they're like, let's do this song, that's a great song, I love that song, let's do that, it's just one of our best. And, but I've noticed that the more that I've tried to stay in therapy and stay meditating and stay peaceful, the more peaceful I am, the more I can handle everything. And it's been really great lately because Bo has really taken a leadership role in crafting just the weirdest sets we can do. And it's been so great because I feel like the more that we all as a band have worked on ourselves and gotten healthier, kind of committed to being healthy, we're all like gung-ho for anything, you know? Like, you know, we'll look at the set, talk about it or whatever, but it's like, now we're just like, well, let's whatever every song, let's do, you know, like, and really, like, just being more open to all that stuff.
Is there anything that is still in the doghouse, or that's all there?
I don't think there is anyone. I'm sure there probably is one or two.
Awesome.
We did several last night, actually.
You did?
Fuck yeah, makes no difference.
Amazing. Nate Nelson from Santa Barbara has done a similar vein. Eternally Even is one of his favorite records, and would love to hear about your writing process for those songs and how the inspiration for the sounds and the instruments came together.
Yeah, Eternally Even was interesting because I did I tried to score 2 different films with this amazing composer, Brian Reitzel, in LA, and somehow we got fired from both of the films. Scoring a film is so difficult because there's so many cooks in the kitchen, you know, and there's like, you try to follow your heart, and then the producer comes in and they're like, oh my God, this is incredible, y'all, this is just so beautiful. And then the director comes in and they're like, I don't know if this is working, this doesn't really seem right. And everything changes and everything changes and then they fire you. But the cool thing was that Brian and I recorded like all of this music. And a lot of it was trance, kind of just playing to the picture or whatever. And so a lot of those things would get used, I would sit and chop them up and flip them around or whatever, and a lot of those things turned into a big album, Eternally Even. And there's still a lot more that I've been working on that will end up on another record sometime. But yeah, it was amazing.
That's incredible. What a unique experience to have.
So yeah.
So, okay, here's a great one from Eric from Atlanta. If you could go back 25 years, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Just fucking lighten up. Don't take everything so seriously. God. Like when I was in my 20s, I was miserable. I was just like consumed with depression and anxiety and just, I wish I could, and I feel like I can, because I'm leaving notes in the back of my consciousness or wherever we go before we reincarnate or whatever. And I think that, I hope the next version of me can grab those notes somehow, come in again, and maybe it'll be a little easier. But yeah, I just wish there was some way to get, just to like get that old Jim to just have it lightened up somehow, not take everything so seriously.
That's not an easy thing to do, and I think that Caitlin Murray's question is sort of similar, and you touched on this a little bit with your meditation and your mindfulness practices, but a little bit more about the spiritual or energetic practice that is most important in your daily life. And how did you really find that, and when did that arrive into your life as a part of your practice?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, because the pandemic really fucked me up, as it did everybody, you know, but luckily in the pandemic, I found a really great therapist that I really love, and I've been in therapy all my life, but I feel like this person was my person. You know, I was like, yes, finally. And we got into EMDR and parts where, it was really just profoundly opened this door for me that enabled me to quit drinking, which was huge for me. And please no judgment on anybody else's drinking. You know, seriously, for real, because it's like people have different things with their own life and their own substance and stuff. I always try to talk about that when I talk about drinking, because I am an alcoholic, and it took me a long time to realize that and come to grips with it. And once I was able to get through that, you know, the first part is really hard, but once you get in there, it's like everything kind of opens up, and you can hold on to your practices better. You can hold on to your meditation. You can hold on to your, like I do yoga in the mornings. You know, it's like I could never do that when I was hungover. I was always like, I can't, fuck. You know, it's just like you can just kind of hold on.
Absolutely, I think that that's great. And you have to put in the work for any practice, whether it's meditation and the sitting, or it's yoga, or anything. So I think that those building blocks are really important. I'm glad you shared that. I do want to touch back to a different, I think we're going to kind of work our way through some music-based questions and life-based questions just to keep it a little interesting. And this is from Matthew in Nashville, and he's wondering how spontaneous versus planned are the live versions of Foam, Wet West, Steam, Touch Me Part 2, etc. Does the rest of the band know what songs or lyrics you plan to segue into the jam? Or do you like to surprise them with the lyrics and then just let them react? Because some versions of the songs from past tour, for a lot of the fans' all-time favorites, especially from Song on Bonnaroo, so I think that that's a great question, just how much of that is happening on the fly and how much is really planned.
I'd say maybe 50-50, because there's something we planned, we're gonna do, this song or that cover or whatever, but I could really enjoy surprising the guys. I don't know if they always do it, but because oftentimes a song will be in the consciousness and I'll just feel it that day, and there's certain windows that pop open where I feel like it's fun to put that song into one of our songs or something, or like last night, I've played Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth by George Harrison. I've done that song acoustic a couple times over the last couple months, and we were, oftentimes one of the hardest things about our set list is getting a drink of water, and if there's a cold stop. I also don't like silence, I don't like awkward silences in the show. I like silence in life, but in the show it's like, if one song goes bonk, and there's no noise or anything, and it takes a minute, and the next song's a cold start, like Steam Engine is like a cold start. We've all got to get ready. Like somebody can't do the noodling where it's like, everybody's ready? So I've got like some pedals and stuff that I'll make ambient noise with or whatever, and I'll like take a drink of water and let some noise go on, and for whatever reason that Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth came in, so I like drifted in from the wind or whatever. I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. Because also that means like that's something I feel like we all need to just hear about peace and love as much as we can. It's just like as much as we can.
We did have a question from Kayla from Utah. We all know that you love George Harrison, so this is perfect time into that. And can you elaborate on how your love for George Harrison started and share maybe some of your favorite songs or songs brought by him?
Love it.
There's just something about vibrational frequencies of things, and I feel like I remember as a kid hearing My Sweet Lord just in the supermarket or whatever, and talking to my mom about it, because I've read Catholic, but the sound of My Sweet Lord was very different than the sound of the songs at our church. And I was like, why is he singing about the Lord? I was like, because when people sing about the Lord at church, it's really sad and really weird, but when I hear this, I'm like, what is this, And so like that idea that the Lord or God or whatever could be something beautiful was a really revelation to me. And I remember as a kid thinking about that, and then as you learn more about the Beatles and you fall in love with every Beatle, you really, kind of, once I got to George and I got into All Things Must Pass, there's that, there's that deep well there that, something you just can't predict things and you can't fake things. And for me, it's like, it's just as simple as what do I come back to? What do I want to come back to over and over and over and over and over again? And literally sometimes for weeks or months, I'll listen to nothing but My Sweet Lord over and over and over again on repeat. And it's like every year since there's been Spotify or whatever, it does that rap thing. And it's so fucking funny because it builds you up to your top song. And it's like, your top song, what? My Sweet Lord, you listen to it 93,000 times or whatever. You are at the top 0.001% of listeners. But it's just like, you can't fucking force it or fake it. It's just like, I always want to hear that song over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And yeah.
Amazing. So next we're going to go to Andrew from Portland with a totally different question. A good one from Lane from Colorado. More of a personal question. How do you protect and get your voice ready before shows?
Lots of smoking. Lots of heavy vaping. No, for years we didn't do anything. You know, as most kids do, we just ran. You know, and but there was a tour when I was starting to lose my voice, and we went to a vocal coach in LA. And he taught us vocal exercises that saved the tour. And so I've still got his email. This is from 15 years ago or something. And so we've got like this 10-minute MP3 that he created it for the show Glee. You know that show? I've never seen that show, but there's a show called Glee. And so the beginning of it starts with his voice, and he's like, Glee male warm-up. Let's go do, you know, do all these exercises. So literally every show we play, like maybe half an hour before, you can hear from the guy singer, he's like, Glee male warm-up, you know, we're all singing. And I met another vocal coach a couple years ago that like taught me about singing through a straw, and that warms up your voice too. And then I got this wild nebulizer thing that almost looks like I'm vaping, because there's steam coming out, and you're like sucking on it for like 10 minutes, and that really helps too. And then just lots of water.
Mm.
Throat coat, some throat coat's good. I used to drink. I'm surprised I didn't go into like a diabetic coma or something, but I used to drink like, literally like a whole bottle of squeezable bear honey. Like I put like so much honey in a bottle of water. And I would put lemon juice in there and stuff, and I would like drink one of those every show. And I went to this voice doctor or whatever, and he was like, dude, all of that stuff is just going like into your stomach. It's not even coating your throat. He's like, it's just a bit. So I was like, oh my god. So I noticed a real difference when I stopped drinking that whole jar of honey every show. That helps.
Amazing. I mean, is there anything, there were so many great questions in here, but is there anything that you just even wanted to address or anything? I know we're just about out of time, so figured if there's anything to wrap up that you'd like to share, Aqua for Aqua.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I'm just so, I hope y'all know like really just how profoundly grateful that we are that you're here, and just like, it's just unbelievable. You know? Yeah, I don't know. There's just like a thing. The circle is real, you know, because it's without all of us, none of it exists, you know. And it's like we can, you know, we'll play music in our basements forever. Or, you know, like I'll sit and play guitar for the rest of my life, but it's like there's nothing that even comes close to this exchange of this energy that we share, you know. And to me, it's like a rotating thing, because I experience it as a member of the audience too, so often, because I go to so many shows myself, and like it's this rotating thing, and just from what I hear too, people have the sense of community and the sense of family that you all have, and just the things that we hear about how nice everybody is to each other, and how well everybody treats each other, and that's just so beautiful.
True.
It's so, I just
family.
Really want you to know how much that means to us. And there's like a new kind of Discord, I guess, or one big family thing that we've created, and it's like, as people say things, it's like, just whatever you say, we're trying to listen to it all, you know, because we want this experience to be as good as it can be for everybody. And I think for a long time, I've kind of just really been in some kind of cloud and just struggled with depression or whatever, and you can't, anybody who's struggled with depression or whatever knows the feeling or whatever, there's like, it's almost like your computer is running too many programs at once and you can't even, none of them are working, you know? And it's like, but I think there's a really cool new energy with our band and the people we're working with, where there's like this new openness, and so it's like we enjoy hearing from people, you know, through that Discord or through these things that are so cool, the technological things that are cool. So we're just so excited to be here and so grateful for you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to Jim for being here and answering your questions. We'll see you guys out there at the beach stage. Thank you. Do you have any pets? And have you mentioned any of your pets in any of your songs?
Hey man, I'm gonna see.
I would love to have a pet. I've been talking about it for a while since the pandemic because like so many of my friends have the best pets, you know, and I just like, I used to be scared of dogs. I had a couple like got bit by a couple dogs when I was a kid or whatever, and
I got all of this.
and there's, you know, it's just like we never had pets when I was growing up. We couldn't really afford them, and we didn't have a situation that was conducive to it. But as much as I travel, it's like you see people with the little net cages that they keep their small dog in or whatever. And I've thought about that too. But ever since I had back surgery, I try to travel as light as I can. So it's like the thought of like carrying around a dog and food and, you know, it's just like all this stuff. It's like I don't know if I could do it, but someday I do wish. Really, I love the thought of having a couple dogs and cats that are pals or whatever, you know, because a good pet just changes everything. I mean, it's just the best. When we're like hanging out, chilling, and my buddies bring their dog over to my house or whatever, you know, it's the best. Having a good pet is the best.
Sassy.
That's true. So, on a music note, Phil B from New York asked, do you enjoy making music with samples? And if so, how does that compare and contrast to working with a guitar for you, for your process?
Yeah, sampling, what an interesting thing. You know, like sampling is such a beautiful expression of music. And because to me, you're playing with the universe and everything becomes a sample. If you record a guitar, it's now a sample. So if you use a sample, you're using somebody else's recording that was a sample, and it's like the, you know, everything started as
Sure.
It was just this dream in somebody's mind, and then they recorded it, and they created their own sample of themselves, and then you take it and put something else over the top of it. It's really, I mean, I think that it was born of necessity, you know, people that didn't have any money for instruments, so they would just take a record that they had and sample it, or take a tape loop and sample it, and the possibilities of it too. I mean, like the way you can get in, really like take things out of the sample, or just like even unrecognizable samples. You know, it's one thing, you know, like we all love classic Dr. Dre songs or whatever, where there's an obvious sample, you know, that's just like so amazing. But yeah, I just like, I feel like it's all the same.
Cool.
Yeah, Paul Fatique's a great example because one of the greatest albums of all time. And they did it so early, they sampled the Beatles or whatever. You know, so you can't sample the Beatles, there's like no way. You know, I don't understand how that record's even still alive. You know, it's like, it seems like they'd have to pay like $400 million or whatever to use that Beatles. And they sampled the Eagles too, it's just like, it's so funny. It's just like, how do they do it? Yeah, but that was like the Wild West of sampling.
Okay, we've got a very specific question here from Viv via her mom from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. Beacon Night 2. You gave her daughter Viv a little stuffed owl at the end of the show. Remember this? She's not here, unfortunately, but Jill was asked to ask you, what is the owl's name?
Oh my God, I mean, Viv, is that her name?
Viv, yeah.
I mean, when people bring kids to shows, it is so unbelievably cool. You know, because it's just like, you see that, it really gives
So
me
sweet.
hope. You know, if anything gives me hope, it's like these kids that are coming up now. It's like, these kids are gonna save us. They're gonna save us all.
Woo!
The way that the kids respond, you know, it is just like pure joy. And what was the mother's name?
Jill.
Jill and her daughter Viv had been. Is that you? Wow. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's the power. It makes me emotional.
That's so cool.
The power of Viv is just like the joy that's exploding, you know, and you see this pure potential in this child, you know, with her mother. It is just like so powerful. And they had come to several shows in a row, and I was like, oh my God, there's this kid again. It's like, her energy is just like, you know, just insane energy, just the purest light beam, you know, shooting into our hearts. And I just had to give her that howl. So Viv, I don't believe in names really, so you can name it whatever you want. But yeah, it's so cool when you see people bonding with their kids at shows. It's just like, that's like, because we're so grateful that you all are here, you know, and it's like, we're so grateful. Because when you start a band or whatever, and for the longest time, nobody gives a shit about your band, and nobody fucking cares about your thoughts or your band or whatever. And to have, like, Kevin been 25 years or whatever, and we're still going, and you all are still here, and it's just, it's unbelievable. I just don't, we're so grateful. And to see somebody like Viv there at the shows, it's like, it goes on, you know, that's like the love goes on, it keeps going on, you know, and it's like that part of the kids in our world, treating them like they're people, you know, like bringing them into the experience, like it's not like the adults are over here, the kids are over here, you know, it's like having them come into the experience and be a part of the world and like seeing that they can, this is their world, you know, they can use it with us and adapt it and to really change it for the better, you know. It's like, because I think each generation, we have our triumphs, we have our regrets, you know. I wish we were a lot farther along. You know, I wish that racism was gone. You know, I wish that there was total acceptance and equality and that the environment was saved. You know, all these things that we all want, peace on earth, you know, these things. But when I see somebody like Vivian at the show, I'm like, it's possible still. You know, like, I have not lost hope because somebody like Vivian is gonna help us figure it out. That's the key.
Woo! So look at Colleen's comments.
To me, this question from Chris Last from London was one of the most just pure and really thoughtful questions. What is one song that you wish you could hear again for the first time?
Oh wow! Oh, my sweet Lord. Here comes the sun. Harvest moon, harvest. Oh, it's so cool.
Probably What's Going On.
Marvin Gaye. Nice.
Because I feel like that was another one as a kid when I heard it with my mom and he's saying mother, mother, you know, I'm like, it's like, what is he talking about? You know, it's like, because you really don't understand those things at first when you're a kid. And she's trying to explain to me, you know, oh, well, he's talking about the war, you know, he's talking about his brother went off to war, and he's talking about the violence and the hatred and the racism. He's trying to help. You know, it's like that Mr. Rogers' mother's quote where like, look for the helpers. You know, when you see something bad, look for the people who are helping in the times of disaster. And that record and that song, the injection of love into the public consciousness at large, I mean, is so profound. You know, and it's like that song, that whole record is kind of like my sweet Lord for me or whatever. Like I listen to it all the time. You know, and it's like I dream of a day when that record becomes obsolete because all hatred is gone and all war is over and all racism is past. You know, and we like listen to it more as a time capsule. And we're like, remember when things used to be so difficult? But yeah, that song, I wish, I'd pick that one.
Is that Spotify Wrapped number too. Veronica from Steamboat Springs, Colorado, and asks, what in your life influenced you to pursue music full-time as a career versus as a hobby? Was there an event or variety of experiences? Was it these hearing songs in the grocery store when you're growing up? What really influenced that moment for you?
It was really all that I had, because I never was good at anything, and I felt really bullied and really told by the world that I wasn't good at anything, and and that's all relative. But when you're a kid, you don't know, it's like, and so all the things that you can do in school, like sports or even school itself, whatever. I wasn't ever good at those things, but when I met my friends and bonded over music, it was like, music was like, and still,
superpower.
I was told that I wasn't good at that either, but it's like I loved it, and we had it together as friends. And then, because when we grew up, the first things we liked were like Guns N' Roses and Metallica, and hair metal stuff,
Nice.
which is awesome.
Woo!
But we were like, geez, like these people look pretty cool, and we definitely don't look that cool, so I don't think we're ever gonna like make it. But then like REM came out, and Nirvana came out, it's like, and you saw these people, you're like, whoa, you see, I'll never forget seeing Losing My Religion, seeing REM, seeing Nirvana for the first time, being like, whoa, wait a minute, like you can make music and just be a normal looking person kind of or whatever, and it was like this real revelation, and so again I just felt there was never even any question. It's just like it just called to me over and over again. It's like there was nothing else.
And so I think that a lot of these questions about backstories of particular songs are probably so driven because of that feeling that you had, like this one from John, where he had a question about I will be there when you die. Is there a backstory that would help fans interpret the meaning behind that song?
Yeah, it was just kind of written from a lonely place of wishing I had somebody to love, and kind of looking at my life from like an eagle-eyed view of like being like, why am I so depressed all the time? Because everything seems fine. Like when I look at it, it's like compared to so many people in the world, I'm fine. Because I wrote that song when I was really young, when I was 19 or 20 or whatever, and I was like, but I was still so lonely and so depressed, and wish that I could find somebody to love, that we could be there for each other, till the end. And that's one thing that I just think about a lot. It's just like the conversation around depression, and mental illness, and just that it's part of our job to normalize these things, talk about these things, make them okay. It's okay to be depressed. It's okay to struggle with anxiety or mental illness or whatever, because it's obviously nobody wants to feel that way, but the more we tell each other that it's okay, it's like everybody has bad days, everybody struggles, and some people, because if you're depressed, like things are fucked up in there. Even if everything's great, like if you look at your life from that eagle-eye perspective, you're fine. You've got a great family, and you're not starving to death. It's like the things in your brain. It's like anybody that struggles with depression knows that. And I think, but the cool thing that I've experienced is like there is a way out. And if you have people to help you find the right therapist, find the right avenue, find the right meditation, find the right, there's a way out, So I think the more we talk about and encourage this for the young people in our life too, to be like, oh, are you depressed? Let's talk about it. It's okay. I'm depressed too. Let's figure it out so that people know that they're not alone. Because when we grew up, it was just like, you don't talk about it. You don't talk, you're fine. You just keep pretending like you're fine until you blow your head off for it. It's just like, it's brutal. So yeah.
Tim. Where's Tim?
The next couple of questions are all sort of inspiration-based in different forms. So the first one I want to start with is Matthew Baker from Lexington, Kentucky, who asks, do you find inspiration for songs or music in cities and metropolitan areas the same way that you could in nature or by being at a beach? And if so, do you notice any differences in how that music is written in a city, in the metropolitan area versus in a more nature-based setting?
Oh God, yeah, because I love cities. It's like we're so lucky to see so many cities, and we have an interesting perspective because we're constantly coming into cities and floating around. Sometimes I feel like I'm a drone or something, where I'm like floating through the city. Most of the time unnoticed, because it's like I'm just like usually by myself, and I'm like zoning around. I'm like going to the art museum, or going to the park or whatever, or I'm seeing the people having their lives. You know, the people are sitting at the cafe, and the parents are taking their kids to school, and all these people are living their lives. So we're in some kind of augmented, suspended reality because our life is on hold. You know, it's like we're gonna play that show that night, and that's gonna be fun. The 2 hours is gonna be awesome or whatever. But the rest of the day, we're like suspended reality, and it's like I can't be with my family. I can't be at my home. I'm gonna be in my hotel room, or I'm gonna go walk around the city and watch all the people live their lives, and that definitely inspires a lot of songs. Yeah, it's just as inspiring as in a different way as nature.
Do you have a favorite? I'm gonna go off book here. Do you have a favorite city
Asheville.
that you love to walk
Asheville,
around
of course.
and just watch people living their lives?
It's just all days because it's like you can never if you're depressed in whatever some really exciting city and you don't leave the hotel room, then it doesn't matter. But if you're having a great day in some city that nobody knows about that you've never been to, you can see the greatest things. You know, so I really think every city has its treasures because that's coming from Louisville, Kentucky, is a place that's like not well known in the world. You know, you don't hear about it a lot, and there's like so many treasures there. You know, there's a wealth of just beauty. You know, and so I think people from those kind of places, we go to the other towns that are kind of like Louisville, and you're like, okay, you hear a lot about Austin, Texas, but hey, Houston, Texas is beautiful. You know, there's like some unbelievable stuff, and so we're kind of always looking for that stuff in every city.
Sweet. Where are y'all from?
This question is from Jim, who's from Maine, and he was writing this from a hotel room in Boston where their flight was canceled from a massive storm. So they missed last night, and hopefully they've made it here by now, although I'm not sure with the weather. You wouldn't be able to tell from down here where we are in paradise. But this is a question about who is a musician, guitarist, or instrumentalist that has most inspired your guitar technique?
God, I mean, it's just a blend, you know, because there's like
Neil Young side.
there's people like Jimi Hendrix, you know, who inspire everybody. You know, it's like I feel like that's like there's like the universe, you know, whatever God is or whatever, the universe is like a giant hand that like comes reaching through the cosmos, and occasionally its fingerprint like pushes into this universe and creates somebody like Jimi Hendrix or whatever. And it's just like the entire cosmos is present in Jimi Hendrix or whatever. This is like, everything that's possible is there. And then there's people like Neil Young, you know, who are so inspiring. And then there's the people who, like, you know about that are so underrated, like Curtis Mayfield, and even Prince, you know, somebody like Prince, like, you know, like, you really never, you know, we all know and love Prince, but you don't often hear him mentioned as like one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And so it's really just a big swirl.
And then from Jameson, from Richmond, what's the first book that you read as a young person that really blew your mind and opened some new doors for you? Something that tapped into that earnestness to express yourself in a creative way.
I was lucky because we read a lot as a kid. My mom took me to the library all the time, and we were just constantly reading. And I love to read today. I read just so much. And there's so many things. For some reason, In the Night Kitchen by Marty Sindek kind of talks about mine. As a kid, I remember that book being like, I was like, what the fuck is going on in this book? You know, and it's like and I remember when I was maybe around 19 or 20, somebody gave me The Wind Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. And Murakami, like, I mean,
Japanese.
His books just really put you into an altered state, an altered reality. So I have this thing that he's got a new book coming out this fall, and whenever he puts out a new book, I like to go read all of his books again, because it's almost like they're all the same book in this different way. It's like, and you get lost in this giant world. So I remember Murakami being one of the first people where I was like, whoa, like, yeah, I've never, he writes things that you couldn't even have attempted to dream up. You know, it's just like so far beyond.
And if you could go back in time and see any musician or band, who would that be?
I mean, so many. I remember my buddy Gary, who was a lot older than me. He was, I'm trying to remember where it was, but he said they were at Monterey, I think, when Jimi Hendrix played, and but they didn't know who he was. And he was like, we were standing on the side of the stage, and they started wheeling out all of these gigantic amplifiers. They're buzzing and buzzing and buzzing, and there's this beautiful young man, and he walks onto the stage, plugs in his guitar, and like, he's just like, the energy that came off of him was just like, you know, everybody in the whole place was just like, they knew the world had changed. So maybe that, but I often think about, I love Duke Ellington, and I love to go back to see Duke Ellington and his band in their prime, in their younger days, like 1937 or 1940 or something like that, to see the Duke Ellington Orchestra would just be prime. Yeah, I'd probably pick that.